Hi, everybody. I'm Ross Halleck with Halleck Vineyard.
And I'm Harris Miner.
And we decided to do an experiment today. So Halleck Vineyard, for the first time in 2021, has released our first Chardonnay, our 2020 Sobre Vista Sonoma Mountain Chardonnay. And I won't go into the story of why we made it, but we've never made a Chardonnay before. I would say it was both a blessing and a curse. The curse was we lost all of our fruit in 2020 because of smoke taint. And one of our valued and cherished wine club members had a Chardonnay vineyard that they picked too early. And so had a bit of a problem because the winery that had contracted for the fruit chose to reject it. And so we were left with the opportunity to make a very unusual California Chardonnay because I've always been a big fan of white Burgundy and Chablis. And so I thought, well, we always have thought of ourselves as new world winemakers with old world style. So let's see if we can make a Premier or a Grand Cru Chablis. And so that's what we intended to do. And we are here today to test our mettle, as you were. So we have we chose one Premier. So we decided to be a little modest up front rather than compare directly with a Grand Cru Burgundy, which is, the most expensive white wine you can get in France. We decided to step down so that we wouldn't be outclassed right out of the gate with a Premier Cru, and we chose a Samuel Biou Chablis Premier Cru Mont de Milieu. And so excuse my pronunciation, but it is a 2019 white Burgundy, a Chablis. It is Chardonnay. Okay, so just to be clear, in France, they name their wines by place, and here in the United States, we name our wines by grape. So just so nobody's confused, this is a Chardonnay, as is our Sobre Vista 2020 Chardonnay. And also equal to equal, they are both exactly 12.5% alcohol. So we thought we would taste them next to each other and see how they compete.
I'm excited. I've only had the lower classifications of Chablis before,
So we're going to start with the Samuel Biou, and right out of the gate.
Well, right out of the gate, it honestly reminds me of almost a still champagne.
Mm-hmm.
It's got that cheese rind note, that kind of sweeter apple note.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like a yellow apple.
Yes, right.
But that cheese rind is what strikes me. It's got kind of a funkiness, which is something I like about French wines, is that earthiness, and it definitely speaks to that.
Mm-hmm. There's a nuttiness to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite nice.
And just so we don't miss it, the color of these two wines is exactly the same, which was kind of surprising when we poured them out. I mean, you would never be able to tell them the difference. Or this light hay, kind of very crystalline, just not there's a hint of yellow, but it is I would say very light hay. Beautiful, beautiful kind of non-color. Okay, let's go with a.
It has a much thicker mouthfeel than I was expecting.
Yeah, it's got a buttery note to it.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely malolactic fermentation, which turns malic acid into lactic acid and gives it that buttery note, which is the thing, quite honestly, I like least about California Chardonnay. This has that.
Yeah. Oh, it's pretty light though.
It's light. It's lighter than a big oaky, buttery California Chardonnay.
Mm-hmm.
It has a sweetness to it.
It does. It does have a distinct sweetness. I think too that yellow apple that I was talking about, that also hints at sweetness.
Mm-hmm.
The nuttiness is again very present. To me, it has kind of a hazelnut in the finish. It's quite nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because of that sugar, maybe it's even more of a marzipan.
Yeah.
Or a bear claw thing.
Yeah, you can. Well, marzipan, I think that's almond, right?
It's almond. Yeah, I think
yeah.
so. I don't know if marzipan and almond paste are the same thing, but I think they are.
I think they are.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they are. or marzipan is a product of almond paste.
Yeah, but that sweet almondy flavor.
Yeah. And the finish is a little on the hazelnut side. There's nuttiness throughout this whole wine, but it's kind of got a richer, fuller mouthfeel than I would have expected from a Premier Cru. Pretty full mouthfeel.
Yeah, very much.
So this wine sells for $45, and you could probably expect to find it in a restaurant for about $90. And what would you say you'd pair this with?
Well, you need something with a little bit of creaminess, I think, but it can't be too heavy. So maybe clam chowder, New England, or San Francisco style, or just a little north of San Francisco.
Yeah, a shrimp scampi would be fine too. That buttery, with the buttery and the seafood together with a little hint of lemon on the scampi.
Yeah, but even a simple roast chicken or something would be delicious.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see how we measure up with our Sobre Vista 2020 Chardonnay from California, from the Sonoma Mountain region, AVA.
Wow.
So very, very equally pronounced nose.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like this is not a little brother to that wine, but it's a very different nose.
Yeah, it's much brighter. Really explodes in the glass. That green apple note. I always get like fresh lemon zest from this.
Yes, it's definitely got more citrusy. But, they are of a family. So when I say that it's very different, it's not different like this does not smell like a California wine.
Right.
It's different in a good way, because the thing that it's got a fresher note. It doesn't have that sort of cheese rind aspect to it.
But, theoretically, you could blind taste these and you wouldn't know that this is from California. This could be just from another region of Chablis. That's what I would assume.
Yeah.
The only thing that hints to that floral almondy nutty note is in this. There's kind of a vanilla note, almost like a floral vanilla.
Very light vanilla.
Yeah,
very light.
I mean, it's certainly not overbearing, and again, it's more of a fresher vanilla. I think I said a Tahitian vanilla. Definitely not dessert. It's still very complex and very bright.
Let's see how that tastes. Well, it is bright and crisp. Doesn't have any of that soft sweetness that the Chablis does. I would say it's like got a great Granny Smith apple with a touch of maybe lemon meringue.
Yeah, there is a little bit of creaminess with the aeration. The brightness is the starkest thing to me, and there's kind of a salinity in the back of the palate.
Yeah.
I think that really lifts up the wine.
Yeah, super bright, super complex.
There's some floral notes as well, almost like a tea note, I would say.
And in the flavor, like getting back to the apple, there's this, it's not a dessert, but it has an apple tart kind of flavor component as well.
Yes, like a zero sweetener apple tart.
And the mouthfeel, crisp, lean. That is the biggest difference between these two wines. The mouthfeel of this is really lean and really crisp. I mean, leaning even even as far as a Sauvignon Blanc. It has that much of a minerally crisp, lean flavor profile versus the Premier Cru.
Yeah, the brightness and the green apple, this is sort of like the other side of sparkling, I would say. If the two were put together, it would be like the ideal champagne if they were sparkling.
So this wine, by the way, sells for $55, so kind of in the same neighborhood, a little bit more. In the restaurant, you might expect to spend $140 to $160. I'm sorry, $100 to $110. And what would you pair with this?
Oh, I said it since the first time I tasted our Chardonnay, scallops every time.
Yeah, it's awesome with scallops.
Really amazing. You want something with a little bit, it's got to be lighter fare, but you want a little bit more unctuousness to cut. So you might even be able to get away with lobster. I've done it with sushi, actually. It's quite good.
Oh, yeah, I bet it is.
Really great.
So I think this, lays the gauntlet down. We're going to have to get a Grand Cru and taste our Sobre Vista 2020 Chardonnay against the Grand Cru. So that'll be our next little video. But I'm very pleased with how these these compare, and I'm quite gratified to have been able to make a wine that stands up to really a stunning French Burgundy. Cheers.
Cheers.